Hello, and welcome back to the Psycholegal Pop Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about popular culture through the lens of an attorney and a therapist. I'm Tess Brigham, I'm the therapist.
And I'm Brooke Brigham, I'm the attorney.
And today we are back with Sister Wives, Season 19, Episode 27. This is One-on-One, Part 2.
Yes.
Deep sigh. Deep sigh. Yeah, God, I can't believe these women live with Cody this long, because 45 minutes later, I'm like, I don't want to hear from this man for a while. I was
I
like,
know,
oh
and
dear God.
supposedly there's like still 2 more tell-alls
Yeah, we have 2
after
more of
this.
this guy.
It's like, what more is there to say? I mean,
Yeah,
what's gonna be different?
I don't know. I mean, I still think it's interesting. It's juicy. I think so much of it is it's less. I think the interesting, juicy parts are just seeing how everyone reacts to things versus in sort of what that says about them, much more than the
Right.
content of what they're saying. So,
Yeah.
so for this episode, we thought we would do this a little bit differently. Like, we're gonna, instead of going back and forth and back and forth, and then Robyn says this, and then Cody says this, and then talk about each individual person and sort of
Mhm.
what they talked about and sort of their attitude and what was going on.
Yeah.
So you want to start with Janelle, since she's kind of started off the episode, or do you want to start somewhere else?
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
so
yeah,
oh,
go ahead.
well, I was gonna say Janelle is, she's so over it, and she
Yeah.
so has Cody's number, and she's just very blunt. Christine too.
Mhm.
But Janelle is really just very direct, just blames Cody for the failure of the family because he basically just gave up during
Mhm.
COVID, threw his hands up. Um, she is not interested in being friends with him or Robyn. She said she would be friendly to him,
Mhm.
but she is not interested in being friends with them. She doesn't like them.
Yeah.
She flat out said that.
Mhm.
And she thinks that Cody is trying to make himself more villainous to take away some of the blame from Robyn.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I think Cody's just being Cody. I think that's how he is.
I think that maybe when it comes to his relationship with Janelle, maybe he does that. Or maybe he did that with the wives. I don't know. I don't know if it's taking the blame, but him managing sort of Robyn's perceptions and
Yeah.
how people think about her and all of that. But Janelle, of anybody, I feel like, though Mary's getting close. I mean, Meri, I feel like we're seeing much more of a Meri that is loving life here than we ever
Mhm.
saw before. But Janelle, to me, is the one who is the most, she's not on the fence with anything. The feelings are very over, I think that Janelle, when she's out, she's out. I
Mhm.
think that she does not think of Robyn or Cody at all. I don't think she, has too many feelings about any of it. I think any feeling that she has about Cody is probably stemming from her kids and Garrison. But
Mhm.
everything else, I think she's just like, she's happy. She's like, I don't need to be with this person. I think Christine still feels hurt and betrayed and stuck in that place. There's still parts of her, even though she has his number and has moved on. I still think that Christine's still processing some things, as is
Mhm.
Meri. I think that Janelle, of anyone, is just like, yeah, whatever. I don't care. I don't care. Like, I'm here because you give me a paycheck.
Yeah. Well, and I think they get into this next week. At this point, they still have not sold Coyote Pass, and
Mm-hmm.
this is when they were having. This was the period where um, Cody was just, shutting Janelle down. Like, she was asking for information, he was ignoring her, and just being a real jerk about it. And I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
that's part of it, is that she's just like, I think she's lost all respect for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and this is more about Cody, but they do play the scene from Josephine's, where they get
Mhm.
into this whole thing with Janelle in that scene, and I'm sure we talked about it when it aired, but Janelle in that scene was being very vulnerable with him, was trying to explain to him, like, "This is how I feel. I do not like, it felt like there were a different set of rules for Robin, blah, blah, blah." And
Mhm.
then he just cuts her off. And the best is he cuts her off and starts eating. Did you see
Yeah.
that? He's like shoveling food into his mouth. And I think she was like, "Okay, fine. If you're not
Yeah.
willing to listen to me, I'm not going to give you any more of my time or energy." But in that scene, it was interesting, and I don't know if I noticed that the first time, was that she was near tears. Like, that took a lot of vulnerability for her to say that about Robin, and she was kind of
Mhm.
tearing up a little. Like, you could feel her voice breaking, and so that's what I think that I think Janelle is just so, "Nope, you're not going to meet me where I'm at. Nope, gone, out." Like, when that thing switches, it
Yeah.
switches.
Well, that and yeah, and like at Josephine's, and then she says this again with Suki. It's like you want me to be in this plural marriage with you, yet I cannot speak about
Mhm.
how I feel about Robin and how my children feel. I'm just not allowed, and he just shuts her down. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Mhm.
And Janelle, to her credit, she just realizes that he's never gonna address
Yeah.
Robin with her. That Robin is, like she said, his sacred cow, and you cannot
Ooh.
you
We'll
cannot
get into that. We'll get into
yes,
that because I have feelings about that too.
you cannot
The
touch her,
little.
you cannot talk about her.
Mhm.
So, how is that gonna work? It's not going to, so, okay.
Yeah. Well, she does bring up this whole thing. She was talking about Mary being so loyal, and then, um talking about how, like, Mary was so loyal, and that the catfishing almost gave Cody an out to be
Mhm,
justified in his anger and his behavior towards her. But she did point out that, and we've talked about this too, which is Robin married a very different Cody,
mhm,
and Robin married into a different situation than all of them.
mhm,
And um that she wasn't around for the struggles. And I think that's the other thing with Janelle, is I think Janelle is able to say, "This isn't the same man I married, and so I can leave him."
mhm.
I
Yeah,
think Christine and Mary are much more, which is where I would be, which in that place of, "Wait a second, you were there, now you're here. What happened? What?" And, but I think that she very much can can see it and does not live in the other side of it or contemplate it. I think she just kind of moves on. I wish I was more
yeah,
like
well,
her.
she also points out that this Cody, current Cody, is
Mhm.
also that, he's never been this mean.
Yeah.
He's intentionally hurting people, trying to rewrite history,
Mhm.
and just being flat out mean. And so that's not the Cody that she married either, you
Yeah.
know. Um yeah, no, good for her. I mean, and yeah, this must be hard, given what they've been through. But yeah, Janelle, like you said, when she's done, she's done.
Yeah. So that was mainly it,
Bye
right? Do
bye.
you have anything else for Janelle?
Um, no, that was it. She basically made her points and
Yeah.
got in and got out. But I loved when she said that she didn't like she she just doesn't like them.
Well, Sukanya was really hammering it, and she was trying. I
Mhm.
think I think Janelle was trying to be kind,
Right.
which is like, "Yeah, I'll be friendly. I'll chat with them, or I'll do this, I'll do that." And then they kept talking about this, and I think finally she's like, "Listen, I'm not going to eat a goddamn meal with these. I'm not going to Josephine's with these two.
No.
No." And which is a completely, totally understandable thing, which is, not only is this someone that you don't even recognize anymore, the person that he's with you've never really liked all that much.
Yeah, she did say I never really had a relationship with Robin.
Yeah. So that's the other part of it too, is like, I don't like this person and I don't know this person. So why do I have to be friends with them? And this is, just a quick plug, we're also covering, and just like that,
Mhm.
the third season. If you haven't checked that out, go check it out. And this is same thing. It's women in their 50s, like, what maybe a different version of Janelle, maybe a younger version of Janelle would have been like, "Yeah, I would hang out with him." But I think this version is like, "No, My time is valuable.
Mhm.
Why
Right.
in God's name am I going to eat or spend time with these people I don't like? Why do we need to do this?
Mhm.
Let's just move on with our lives.
Mhm.
But
Exactly.
it killed. But this is what kills Cody, and that's why he calls her the Teflon queen. Is his ego cannot handle that she doesn't have any feelings for him.
Right. She's exactly.
So, all right.
I
Do
mean,
you want to go to Mary or Christine?
well,
Uh,
let's talk about Mary because Mary and Cody are friends.
yeah, favorite ex-wife.
They want to be friends apparently.
Yeah.
Although Mary's not, she's sort of humoring this, I think, idea, but she also seems pretty solid in her decision.
Mhm.
Mary has really come
Yeah,
a
she
long
has.
way in the last she has worthied up. I will
Yeah.
give her that. She's
She's
come a
lost a
long way.
lot of weight too. I guess no one's talking about that or what's going on. I mean, it was interesting, like to see her now. You're like, wow, that is a lot of weight.
Mhm.
Did she get on
Well,
the Ozempic or
maybe just being happier,
maybe?
maybe just be yeah, she's not holding on to tension and whatever. I mean, could be a lot of different reasons, but she overall, just everything about
Yeah,
her
a lot
has
lighter.
changed. She's much lighter. She can kind of laugh and joke about it, but she's very serious about
Mhm.
that what Cody did to her was wrong and
Mhm.
um and she wonders about Robin, like what was
Mhm.
was Robin ever really her friend? Did she ever really care about her? I mean, what was that all about?
Mhm.
We can talk about Robin next. Ooh, that's a
Yeah.
real
Well,
strange one.
one thing that she mentions is that she says, you know, she was saying, Cody's spoken a lot about how mean I once was.
Mhm.
And that, I think what she's alluding to was it sounds like she went through a very dark time for a long time. It
Mhm.
sounds like maybe from Vegas to the last couple of years, I
Mhm.
don't know. She had been going through a lot and she's I think she owns the fact that I wasn't really a happy person or I wasn't mean to be around, but she says, I've been fun the last couple of years and he has been unwilling to even see that. And so this whole thing with Cody of being kind of like this Mr. Forgiveness and light and love and all of this stuff moving on, it's like, no, no. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say about Mary. It's just,
Well, I think Mary's gotten a bad rap.
yes, maybe that's it.
She's gotten a bad rap, and so remember, she when they moved to Vegas and Leon went to college, Mary was kind of just left alone. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
she would say, "No one comes to my house." She had to beg people to help her move. You know what I mean? Like they
Mhm.
just everyone else kind of I don't even know if it was intentional, but she just kind of wasn't part of the family like she used to be.
Mhm.
And I think that obviously made her upset. And then she'd be in a bad mood. And then other people would be like, well, what's wrong with you? And, I don't know. She had a hard time. And then you have Cody and Robin stringing you along. And
Mhm.
so anyway, finally she's free and she seems to be happy and she's doing things and I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know what else to say about
Well,
Mary, but they made
w-
a big deal about that stupid scene
oh
from
God, that scene,
the
that whole
moving
thing.
day.
I cannot believe we are still talking about all this shit. So, you know, Cody goes into this whole thing about Mary and I had such an antagonistic relationship, and then the catfishing happened, and I wasn't going to put up with her anger anymore. And it wasn't until we were moving that things like basically that day, he says
Mhm.
things got better, and that clip of that day of moving, the way they all acted. Okay, so what? So you pushed up against someone, like, all right, who cares? Like they're acting like the two of them banged in the back of that
I
truck,
know.
like he accidentally fell into her vagina or something like this happened. It's like, dear God,
It's like,
people.
whoops. I know.
I
It's
mean,
like
what? So what? You backed up into him. You felt a little something. It's like, dear God, you ever ride the subway? You know, ever been out in the world? Like, come on. This is that big of a deal?
yeah, never been in a crowd,
Yeah,
concert or
yeah.
something.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's just the way these people are such dorks about this stuff.
Well,
It
and
was
then yeah, and then
just,
Nathan pushing the bike. I mean, all of it. It's just
oh, yeah.
it was really dumb. And then it turned into this thing about, oh, well, now that Cody is, I guess, a monogamous to sing, and
Hmm.
he's like, my body belongs to Robin. He gets
Oh,
real serious
God.
about this, and well,
Yeah.
that just wasn't right. That was um whatever. And then when they ask Robin about it, she's like, I didn't really care.
Yeah. Because
she
it's
she was so
nothing.
nonchalant. She's like, I hadn't really drawn those lines yet. I don't know. I
Mm,
didn't worry about it,
yeah.
which is a lie. That's just part of her new
Um,
persona.
yeah. I'm just
But
trying to find this other thing that I wanted to mention, but we do hear, and this is where Mary was really worthying up in this moment where she
mhm.
says, um, Cody and I were talking recently, and Cody said, I'm grieving our marriage, the loss of our relationship. And she told him, no, you're not going to do that to me.
Yeah,
You're
don't
not
lay
going to
that on
take,
me.
you're not going to take all your crapola and all your feelings and dump them on me. I'm not your wife anymore, and I'm not going to do
Mhm.
it. And I loved what she said. She was like, "You were very public about me. You said a lot of mean things about me.
Mhm.
You said you didn't love me. You didn't any of this. And now you're telling me you're mourning this." It's like, I'm not saying you can't have those feelings, but don't tell me that you're grieving. And she says these are the mixed signals she got throughout their marriage. And
Mhm.
and I really do, in hearing Christine as well, it sounds like Cody, and I don't know when this happened, became a fuckboy. He
What do you
became
mean?
Well, you know how fuck boys are, right? These guys that kind of come in and sell you one story and then kind of disappear, and then
Mhm.
they're lonely or they want you again, and they kind of come back around, and then I'll say the things that you need to hear to be
Yeah.
nice, and now I'm gonna f around with you, or I'm gonna promise to go to this event with you, and then you don't go, like fuck boy stuff. It's like
Yeah,
that's what it
that's
felt
true.
like to me. Like it's just a bunch of fuckery. Like just
Mhm.
Christine called it lies and manipulation. I mean, she used
Mhm.
those words, but Mary was a little different, but I think that what we really saw was something of Mary going, "Nuh-uh. You've been
Mhm.
doing this to me for years.
Right.
You have been doing this to me for years. You're not going to do it anymore." And I'm like, "Good
Yeah.
for you, Mary."
Yeah. No more hot and cold, and
Yeah.
yeah, you come around when you feel like it, and yeah, no, all of it. And that's the thing. Yeah, Cody does. I think he does this with all of these women. He
Yes.
just uses them as, yeah, he just fuckboys them. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know what he just mm, mm,
Yeah. I'm
like.
telling you, fuck boy. Perfect, perfect,
Yeah,
perfect
yeah,
word.
no, that is.
Okay. And I don't think I have anything else from Mary. We didn't really get much more. Wow, when you really break it down person by person, there isn't as much there as
Well,
you
it's so
think.
much back. I don't know. So to me, it's so confusing because they go back and forth so fast between characters, and it's like, whoa, well, can't we just like
Stay on one
stick with
topic or
stay
stay
on
on
one
one.
topic, stick with one thing? Um, but
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
they well, okay, that whole scene. Well, they show the scene where he's leaving Mary's house in Parawan, and he's sobbing and having his thing, which was also him laying all of his emotional
Yes.
baggage on her
Yes,
once
yes.
again.
And
And
and and how fuckboy is it? "Oh, Mary, if you acted like this during our marriage, I wouldn't
yeah,
be leaving you."
I would
Like
have
that
liked
is
you
the
more.
so
Uh,
when I don't have any worries, when I don't ask you for anything, when I have nothing, then that's when I'm appealing to you.
yeah. Yeah. And and then Christine pipes in and she says that, he's he's responsible for the end of this because at
Yes.
the end of the era, and she's like, he picked favorites and that's what ended it, and that he just kept breaking Mary's heart over and over again, you
Mhm.
know. And then Robin's response is something weird. She has some dumb response, and then she's like, "Okay." Do you
Yeah.
remember when she did that?
Yeah. Well, we can get into Robin. You wanna go to
Yeah.
Christine now? Let's do Christine.
Okay.
Because it starts off with Christine saying, "If 3 wives leave you, it's the
Mhm.
guy."
Yeah,
And
obviously.
she said, "Before we all left, it was broken, and he blames us."
Mhm.
And, listen, Christine is, as we know, plague royalty. And we know she really knows all of these things. And this is, I believe this. This is sort of the attitude of the
Mhm.
church. And quite frankly, yeah, if you have 4 marriages and 3 women leave you, yeah, I'm gonna look at you.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's
Yeah.
kind of how it is.
He's the common denominator.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so and at the core, we always go back. I've talked about this a lot, which is You know, if Cody I think unfortunately Cody's narcissism got him to this place that was he was in today, because it sounds like in order to be a a good, husband in the,
Mhm.
with multiple wives, that you have to be the kind of person who, you really have to have a lot of awareness, and you have to be very mindful of things, and you yes, you can't have favorites, but you also you can't be so needy and
Mhm.
and and all of that, right? And we see how needy Cody is, and how plural marriage was never going to work for him long term. Even if he had never
Mhm.
met Robin, I don't think it was ever going to work for him long term, because what it takes for you he to make it successful, he can't do.
Mhm.
Anyway, all right,
Yeah.
let's keep
No,
going,
he's
Christine.
he's not cut out for this. But so they have David on. I find this
Yes.
interesting because David is on with Christine for most of the time, and David just fits right in.
Yeah, everyone
He
loves
really
David.
he just really fits right in, and like he's not trying to be in the spotlight. He's not,
Mhm.
but he's fine with being there and contribute because they're a couple, and he
Mhm.
wants to support Christine, and I don't know, I just think he fits right into the family, and
Yeah.
they even, later when they're talking to Cody, even, Cody seems to be okay with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Well, so Christine makes, I think, a very interesting comment about the whole Mary and Cody scene of bumping up against each other.
mhm,
Um, where Christine says, Cody is defining himself now as being Robin's husband. Like that's
mhm,
his new identity. And it is really true. I think that, Cody has to feel special. He has to feel special in some way, shape, or form. So before, and I think this is one of the reasons why he blames people for polygamy. He blames the church, he blames his parents, he blames this, like that he was forced into it. It's like, no, your ego, you you wanted to feel special. You wanted to be
mhm,
different. You
mhm,
wanted to do something that was not the norm, and you did it. And now all these women have left, and so now it's like, oh, because I'm now a monogamist. I'm a
mhm,
monogamist, and I'm dedicated to this wife, and I love her, and our love is so deep. It's just, I think it'll be interesting. I mean, if he and Robin do live plural marriage with other people, that would be fascinating, because to
mhm.
see what happens there. But she has her number, his number.
Yeah. Well, and then they talk about the time when David and Cody first meet. And it sounded like in typical Cody fashion, he was kind of, fuckboying around everybody.
Mhm.
And, said he wasn't going to come. So no one's really prepared for him to be there. And then he says on the day of that he is going to come. And, but they don't know if Robin's going to come. It just,
Mhm.
made for
Yeah, attention,
even,
attention,
yeah,
attention,
right,
attention. Not one of these people that's like, "Wow, I have to RSVP because they need to know how much food to get." But no, I'm gonna fuck around. I'm gonna go in circles about it until
right.
until I'm ready to go.
Well, and also give people some mental time to prepare because he said at that point he hadn't seen Christine in like 2 years.
Mhm.
And I don't think he'd seen her really talk to Gwen in a long time either. And this is her engagement party.
Mhm.
So, um, yeah, they talked about that. We can talk about that more, I guess, when we talk about
Yeah.
Cody, or we could talk about it now.
Well, Christine's just pissed. I mean, she felt like it was rude, and she basically
Mhm.
said this is the kind of shit he pulled all the time. And what was it? Yeah. Oh, I'm reading some other thing. She said some really interesting things. She did make a comment about how why does Cody always have to have favorites? Like
Mhm.
why is Mary now the favorite ex-wife?
Right.
Why does there always have to be favorites? And then Christine was also pissed about Mary and when Cody started sobbing to her. Like she
Mhm.
was pissed, it was rude, ignore her and now you're being vulnerable. Like I'm really embarrassed for him. She really doesn't like him. And that's why I believe she is more invested. Like she does still have a lot of feelings about the Cody stuff more than Janelle does.
Oh, yeah, no, Janelle has let it go. Christine is very angry and, you know, probably will be for a while, I
Mhm.
think. I mean, I guess it's been she said at the beginning of the tell-alls that it's been 4 years?
Yeah, cuz she left in 2021.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think maybe this is the first time she's really had the chance to really get this all out because,
Mhm.
she left and then she was focused on starting a new life and then she met David and then there've been all this stuff and so now it seems like now that everyone is gone, this is the first time she's had the chance to talk about all of this.
Mhm.
Seems like cuz she seems freshly angry.
Yes.
Um
And then there's this whole thing about like, could they be friends? Would they want to double date? I don't know. Christine's just kind of like, I don't know about this. Um, and here's the thing. What she says, it's another version of kind of what Mary's saying, which is, you don't get to have it both ways. You're claiming like I don't if everything that you said about me you believe, then that
mhm.
means you don't really know who I am.
Mhm.
And we were married for 26 years, but you're at the same time saying I'm a bad wife, I wasn't nice to Robin, I was all these awful things. Well, that's not true. And I think that's maybe what she needs from him. She needs some kind of apology of like, I'm sorry, I didn't, those things aren't true, or you were a good wife, or we were, I, all of the, that's what she needs in order to have the double
Mhm.
date. But she's like, not until then, because
Yeah,
she
there
said, I
was
gave it
so
everything.
yeah. Yeah, she did. She said she changed everything she did all the time, just desperately trying to make him happy. Yeah, no, she's still quite angry but there's a lot of talk about, so while Christine is like talking about how angry she still is, Cody is kind of watching it, kind of smiling and smirking and he says something like David is fine. I just want Christine to be happy so she'll stop talking about me.
Hmm.
So he's again bringing it back to himself. And
Yes.
then he says it's like watching an old friend falling in love about Christine.
Hmm.
I mean, he just says some wild stuff. Like it's almost like he's he's like on some kind of drug trip and he's just spitting out stuff. He starts saying David's great. He's probably a decent person. I don't know anything about him. Um and
Well, his phrasing too. We can go right into Cody now because we'll talk about Cody and Robin together because they're so entwined. But
yeah.
he says that comment about like I have a dirty thought, and I'm like, ooh, a dirty thought. What would this be? Let me hear that. And the quote unquote dirty thought is David and I could go on a guys trip. I just thought it was such a
That
weird
was so
word to
weird.
use. So you mean dirty like underhanded and manipulative.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. And so you see going on a guy's trip with him to be this quote unquote dirty thought. And it's so funny because David's like, yeah, sure, I'll go on a trip with him. Like David's just like, whatever.
David doesn't know
Yeah.
that there's yeah, because Cody then says, he says, "Then I thought, no, that would be so uncool to Christine." But
Hmm.
that was your intention, was to be uncool to Christine.
Yeah.
Like, "Look, Christine, I'm going on a guy's trip with your guy. Like, you can't even get rid of me." You know, you
Well,
I'm
but
still here.
almost like she's so in love with me that she's going to be upset that I'm spending time with her now husband. When in actuality, the funniest thing about it is David doesn't care. Like David is
Right.
just like David's not at all thinking, "Oh, I've got to prove myself to Cody." David is not thinking about them in any other way than, "Hey, this is your ex, we all need to get along. Yeah, sure, I'll go
Right.
on a trip with him."
Right. No, he's just trying to, go along to get along.
Yeah.
Cody is just has all other kind of dirty thoughts about this. And
Yeah. All right.
he
Yeah.
says he's still not talking to Christine. And he but then Suki tells him that actually, Christine does want to, fix this. And that's when she tells him about the guys trip. Um or says David or she I think Suki told David about this guy's trip, and that's when David was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, sure." And then Cody again has to say, "Well, maybe not cuz Christine is very undermining, so I don't think so."
Mm.
I mean, he's just all over the place.
Yeah.
All over the place. Like
So,
he's on this just almost feels like an attack on Christine
yeah.
that she started this
Mhm.
cuz she did. She
Yeah, 'cause she
started
did, because she left him.
this exodus.
She
Um,
kicked him out of the house. She kicked him out, and he had
yeah,
nowhere to go.
she put his books in the garage, all 3 of them.
Well, so we can go back. Let's talk about Robin and Cody together,
Ugh,
because so we hear this thing where they're talking about Janelle is mad because um uh feeling like Cody is always favoring Robin, and so Sukanya asks Robin, "Do you feel like you're the sacred cow?" And Robin says, "Moo." I
and
thought
she
that
goes,
was the
"Whatever."
yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. Like, she doesn't care.
Mhm.
Shouldn't people shouldn't this shouldn't be a thing. You shouldn't care. And this is what bugs me about this Robin situation, that where we are right now, which is this. You are changing your story now too, Robin.
Mhm.
Before, you were Miss all about polygamy, the family, I'm not here to disrupt anything, blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
So, and you've lectured us over and over again and told us how important it is, the sister wife relationship amongst the sister wives, how important that relationship is, that you have to support each other. And this is your response to that. Like, you have another sister wife that you claim you I don't know, a year ago wanted Cody to make it work with Janelle.
Yeah.
And now you were directly asked a question about this. That's your response. It's to be dismissive, to be
Yeah.
rude, and to pretend like it doesn't exist. And this attitude of like, well, you shouldn't care. You shouldn't care. Don't pay attention. I'm like, bitch, I'm sorry, but this is not how you spoke many years ago, or even 2 or 3 years ago. That it
Well,
doesn't matter
even
what Janelle thinks.
yeah, even just the last season. I mean, okay, something strange has happened to Robin. She went from, all of her fake crying,
Hmm.
not being able to get through one of these interviews without crying, and yeah, talking about the why can't we all just make it work, and I want this to work, and with yeah. Now she's just like this cool girl, happy go lucky, I don't give a
Hmm.
fuck.
Yeah.
Her attitude has completely changed. She's like, I wish these people would just stop talking about me. She's just being really cagey when Suki asked her questions. She said something about, Cody having a bias, and she's like, "No, I don't think he has a bias." She's like, "Well, I don't know, why don't you focus on your own relationships without my name coming up?" I mean, she's just
Hmm.
really,
Rude.
really dismissive and rude, and just is clearly taking a certain attitude, laughing, I don't give a shit. It's whoa, it's like night and day.
Hmm. Yeah. And what I thought was so brilliant with Sukanya, I realized I just wrote down brilliant questions, but I didn't write down the questions. But basically, it was when Sukanya asks Robin about, does Cody have a bias? And she kind of Robyn kind of looks around like, "What, huh? I don't know. I don't think so. And she asks her, "Well, do you feel safe telling Cody anything?" And she's like, "Yeah, I do." And then Sukanya's kind of like, "Well, so hopefully I'm getting this right." That Sukanya then sort of sets it up where she's like, "Well, then what about these other relationships? Shouldn't these other wives also feel safe? Like, doesn't that concern you that you're saying you feel safe telling Cody anything, but but Janelle is saying there's a topic that Cody's not allowing him, her to speak about." And
Mhm.
now you're kind of like she's sort of setting it up of like, well, wait a second. You don't, in terms of polygamy, shouldn't each wife have the right to ask certain questions? Like, doesn't,
Yeah.
she kind of kept, I'm sorry, I should have written them down. I realize that now, but like, she really sort of set it up where she kind of painted Robyn in a corner. And it felt like the only way to respond was to be like, I don't care. It's okay. I
Mhm.
don't care. Um,
Yeah.
anyway, yeah,
Yeah, I
without
don't know. She
that,
was
work on those relationships without my name coming up. It's like, bitch, how? How?
yeah. Yeah.
How? If you talked so long about how everyone's interwoven with each other and this is a blah blah blah, marriage and family, and there are so many relationships and there's relationships amongst that, then guess what, everybody's relationship is concerning to everybody else. Oh god, just
Yeah,
she
you're
really
all
bugged
in this
me.
yeah, you're supposed to all be in this relationship together, but no
Yeah,
one's supposed to talk about you.
yeah.
No one's supposed to question anything you do.
Or and again, I just feel like she, of any of these people, spends most of the time in the comment section. She and Cody very much know what the sentiment is about them on social media.
Mhm.
So they are very aware of how people feel and what they're saying. And this is Robyn's new tactic. It's her new thing. Well, I'm just going to be super cool. I'm going to be cool, Robyn. And maybe
Mhm.
then people will like me.
Yeah. People don't like it when I cry, so
Yeah, I'm going to
I
stop
guess I'm
crying.
gonna stop doing that because I'm tired of hearing about
But it's
that.
it's so ridiculous because it's like, no, people don't like you because the two of you aren't authentic. If you actually
Right.
were authentic, and I mean, this is the part that uh, the path of least resistance would be if Robyn said, "Yeah, you know what? He did favor me. He did. He favored me. He felt these things about me. We fell in love. It felt like, why can't you own like it felt good? It felt
Mhm.
good to be the favorite. It felt good. And yeah, I'll be honest, but she can't. She won't.
Yeah. Yeah, and then at the very end of the episode, Suki asks her if she would ever, be in a plural marriage again, and she says, "Well, if I had a guarantee," which that's the dumbest
Yeah.
thing to say. None of this comes with a guarantee. She says, "Yeah, I'd probably be open to it," which is bullshit. I mean, I don't believe that for a
Mhm.
minute. But what is this? If I had a guarantee, who who says that?
Because again, she's making herself the victim. I've been hurt. I've been
Hmm.
victimized. So if there's a guarantee I won't get hurt again, then yeah, but it makes no sense. But so if we're talking about, so the next thing that happens is we see this is the beginning where Janelle's talking about her relationship with Cody. And Cody basically dismisses everything that Janelle's saying. And he's like, well, via con Dios, Janelle, I don't care. And he's just like, well, I don't care what broke us up. It doesn't matter. I don't care. And so Kanye's like, well, hold on a second. Shouldn't you, just as a person in this world, look at your past relationships to better understand yourself and figure out how do you make your future relationships better? Don't you want to do that? And it's like, no, no, he doesn't. Because via
No,
con Dios.
he doesn't think he did anything wrong. He's the
Well,
victim.
but the thing is especially when it comes to Janelle, he cannot admit she didn't want me,
Yeah.
because that is really the truth. I did
Yeah.
something that hurt her so deeply that she didn't want me anymore.
Mhm. And
And
there was nothing he could do.
there's nothing he could do.
Yeah.
So yeah, and Sukanya wants to show him the scene from Josephine's, and he's like, he just keeps wanting to shut it down because it looks
Mhm.
makes you look kind of like a loser that you are.
Mhm.
Um, and he wants to shut it down. And he's and this is where Sukanya calls him a baby.
Mhm.
Well, if you're going to be a baby about it, we're
Mhm.
adults having a conversation. I'm just trying to talk to you about this. Guess what, Cody? When you sign the contract, you know what this is. It's to
Mhm.
rehash the past. So you can't come in here and say, I don't want to rehash the past. This is a job.
Yeah,
This
and
is the
this is your
job.
show. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he was on a roller coaster in this episode. Like there was that scene you just described where he was real worked up and, tells Suki, "I'm going to shut you down right here." He had these really angry moments, and then he had these other waxing poetic moments. Like, okay, so I wrote this down. He said, "No one is going to gaslight me." Wait, I don't even know what this sentence means.
No, I
Never mind.
remember this.
I
Hold
can't
on.
even interpret.
Trying to find it. It's farther in the episode.
He's the
Hold on.
one who, this was like when before they start talking about David and Cody meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Something about gaslighting and then a bias. It was a
Oh God, the
nonsensical.
bias thing. Yes, I want to talk about that.
It was
Yes.
nonsensical, but yeah, so he has these hostile moments. Then, I just really thought that the how he talked about David was so weird. It was almost like a bromance.
Mm-hmm.
He says he was nervous about being in the presence of Christine and some of their kids again,
Mm-hmm.
and the intimidation of a potentially overwhelmingly handsome individual.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
That's
so he's
his,
worried he's going to be better looking than him.
which tells you so much
Yes.
about how he sees himself and how he wants to be.
Yeah.
Like these two, Robyn and Kody, are the biggest star fuckers of all of them. I'm sorry, excuse
Mhm.
me, but they really are. They are the ones that would be that are so concerned about how they look.
Oh, yeah. No, they're perfect for each other.
Mm,
Then he says, "But it was pleasant. She was into him. I thought it was great. If we could have handled it, it would have been better over a dinner, like just to get to know him." But he and Christine had not spoken in like 2 years. So, yeah, he seems to like David.
mm-hmm,
And I don't know what he thought, because David was nice, and he even mentioned that David wanted him to make sure he knew that, he was a father, he was a
mm-hmm,
grandfather, he was a family man. He cared about Christine's kids and Cody's kids, and he's trying to reassure him. And I thought David did a really
mm-hmm,
good job. If you only have a few minutes in FaceTime with Cody, you know, he got it out
mm-hmm.
and obviously won Cody over.
Yeah, but I also don't even feel like David. I mean, I can believe that David, as a father himself, was thinking in the back of his mind, like, I want to reassure this person.
Mhm.
But I can't remember, was it McKelty or was it Christine who said, oh, it was McKelty who said, oh, David took care of the twins while we
Right.
got a manicure, when we got pedicures. So it was McKelty that was offering that up. Like David wasn't saying,
Wasn't
I watch
shoving
your
it in
kid.
his
Yeah,
face,
he's
yeah.
not. He was just talking. He was like, oh yeah, we did this, we did that. Um, and I don't know why Cody Cody cannot live in the margins. He cannot live in the gray.
Mhm.
He can't. So I hate Christine. I love David.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's a little bit like he can't be like, I wish the best for Christine. We're not in a good place. I really like David. Let's move on. Right. There was this other thing in the beginning of the episode where after Sukanya calls him a baby, he says, well, it's time to move on. And then he speaks directly to the camera and he apologizes to the ladies. Now, it was the worst apology ever. It was like, I'm sorry that things didn't work out and I loved you, but now we don't love each other anymore. And, I'm sorry that things are bad. Blah, 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 blah. And he's like, good enough? Do you remember
Yeah.
that? Like his attitude. And Sukanya's like, well, at least you took some accountability. Like she's just kind of like, well, yeah, that's nice. Like you finally said something nice. Um, all of it,
Yeah,
yeah.
there was a couple times where I thought he was getting choked up. You thought it was more like he was just in a standoff with
Yeah.
Suki, but there were a couple times where it felt like he was choking up, he couldn't speak anymore, and yeah, I don't know what that was. I don't Maybe he was just trying to send a message, "I'm not gonna talk about this, so I'll just sit here and
Mhm.
say nothing." And she's just kinda like, "What's your problem?" Like, it was there was a lot of, there was, quite a bit of tension there, but, yeah, she was not going to just let him slide.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I thought this was he was particularly strange
Yeah.
during
I'm
this
trying to
episode.
find okay, so let's talk about this bias thing because
Mhm,
again, Cody, you get something wrong. So people are going to his whole thing was people are going to come at me with their biases, but you are already biased. I'm pointing this out to you. Okay. So basically he's saying people are already biased against me. That's what he's
mhm,
see, that's what he's sort of that's his foundation. People are biased against me. So it doesn't matter what I say or do, that bias isn't going to go away, So even if I'm pointing something out, people are always going to see it as you are wrong. We will never agree. We will never reconcile about exactly why we broke up. And it's interesting because he's sort of talking about two different things, right? Part of it is I can't reconcile with these women because we all have different versions of why we're not together anymore. But he's also talking about these, you're going to come at me with your biases. Well, which are you talking about the audience's biases?
yeah, that's
Like
what I
the
was just
world's
gonna say.
biases? Because I feel like that's what it is. And what he's saying is that he doesn't even understand what bias is. Okay? Cody, yes, people are going to come to you with your biases because everyone's biased. Everyone
Mhm,
has their biases. Everyone has their preconceived feelings and notions based on something. So you okay, that you are not being persecuted because people are biased against you. People are biased against everybody. So it's not you. You're not
mhm,
special again. And that the feeling is that no matter what, you're going to be biased against me and you're going to think what I'm doing is wrong. It's like he's already setting it up where I'm not doing anything wrong. It's the biases, it's people's perceptions, incorrect perceptions of me that are wrong. But it's like, no, no, no. He's giving no credence at all to, well, we've been watching you for 19 season now. I feel like we've seen you in lots of different ways and different things. These are
mhm.
our perceptions. This is how we see it. It's back to his ego cannot handle people not liking him. So it's not his fault, it's your fault because you're
Mhm.
biased.
Wow, whew. That's really that's quite a justification in his mind.
Yeah. Well, that's how I don't know if you took it a different way, but that's how I saw it.
No, I don't know what he's saying when he said like, all that I don't know. I mean, the when he starts talking about biases, I immediately jump to, like, the world, the audience
Mhm.
is biased against me. Um, and that's why, I have to come on this program here and defend myself and,
Mhm.
because this is, yeah,
Because
way on.
you're wrong.
Yeah.
You're wrong. So, and again, if you are a happy, secure person like David,
Mhm.
if you're
Mhm.
happy and secure, you don't give a shit what people think of you because
Yeah.
because your sense of self is aligned with how you project yourself out to be. You're not thinking about how you're coming across because you are being authentic to who you are. But it's Cody and Robin that constantly are thinking about how we're coming across because you don't, because in the back of your minds, you're morphing your thoughts and feelings. You know none of this is authentic. You
Yeah.
know it. So this is why the two of you have to cover it. But that whole bias thing, you come in with your bias, it's like you don't even understand what bias means. Like
No,
that's
I
not how
mean,
it works. Ugh,
yeah.
so annoying.
Another thing I forgot to say about Robin was that, she, I guess, refuses to watch these clips.
Yes.
because Suki asks her, "Well, why won't you watch the clips?" Maybe this was last
This was
week.
last week, yeah, but we can
Okay,
talk about it
but
again.
but I feel like when there were a couple points in this episode where they put like a pic of the box,
Mhm,
picture box inside the picture of uh the clip playing and then Robin's reaction. And
mhm,
she was obviously reacting to it in real time. I think she was watching it
mhm,
or at least listening to it or something. And I forget which clip it was. I think it was someone talking about her. I can't remember if it was like Christine or Janelle talking about her. And she you could see the look on her face. I think it was the sacred cow thing. It was
mm,
so when Janelle said the sacred cow, she had kind of this weird look on her face. She obviously had just heard that. She has a weird look on her face, and then she kind of looks over in the corner a little bit, like she's looking at somebody.
was it Cody?
I think he might have been in the room to protect
Mhm.
her.
Yeah,
You
because
know,
it's not safe.
it's not
Sukanya's
safe.
not safe for
Sukanya's not
Robyn.
safe, no. So she kind of looks over and then she looks back. And then she kind of like is trying to hold her tongue to keep
Mhm.
from, laughing or making a face or something. And it's like, oh my God. Like she's just such drama,
Yeah.
First it's like, oh, I can't even watch. Okay, well, someone then I think forced her to watch.
Mhm.
And then she can't even keep a straight face.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I don't know about you, but when I watch reality shows, I always go to this place of would I ever be on a reality show? Like, what would I do?
Mhm.
And I think I would say yes because I'm kind of a whore, but because I like Cody, like attention. But for me, the hardest thing would be is listening or watching myself. I do not listen to our podcast. I do not watch anything that I like. I have such a hard time watching myself, but I know that would be something I would have to do. That
Mhm.
is part. This is what irritates me is you're not doing your jobs. If you're going to get paid to be on this reality show, part of it is that you have to talk certain things to death.
Mhm.
You have to look at yourself, you have to watch yourself on camera. You have to be you have to be willing to do all of that. And it just bugs me so much that Robyn every step of the way is like, "No. No.
Mhm.
No, I'm not going to do it here. I'm not going to do it there." And then this is one of the things that she talked about when they were talking about the interaction when Cody and David met and Robyn says something about, well, this is how it goes in divorce. Like, you want them to stay away, but, you share kids. And so, you have to figure out how to get along. I'm like,
What?
this is how
Excuse
it
me?
goes in divorce. Who are you? Again, now we're back to this. This is how it goes in divorce. So dismissive. Like, hey, this is how it goes in divorce. I'm sorry. What do you know about, because
Right.
so you're an expert of polygamy and now divorce.
And co-parenting. Yeah.
Yes, and
Yeah.
co-parenting after
Yeah.
divorce because you did such a great job co-parenting. You took those
Oh,
kids
yeah.
away from him.
You took them away from their father physically and then got him to agree to terminate his parental rights. Yeah, great job, Robyn. Great
Mhm.
job.
But I love the way she speaks of like, well, this is how it is in the world of
Yeah.
divorce.
She knows
You
it
know.
all.
And then both of them had to point out because I think David said that Cody went red. He went red a little bit.
Mhm.
They both had to make sure that Cody wasn't red. Cody's always red or Cody, no, I'm not red. Like there's no I could not possibly be embarrassed or
Yeah.
be intimidated by
You
David or
just
the
told us
situation.
even though you just told us you were afraid of some impossibly handsome, overwhelmingly handsome man
Yeah.
being, seen that's what you were gonna walk into with David. Oh, but no, I'm not nervous, I'm not embarrassed, I'm not nothing.
Mhm.
Yeah, and all you had to do is watch the video. Robin and Cody are standing holding the babies just nervously rocking them, rocking them, rocking
Mhm.
them, They are so uncomfortable. They are so nervous. David and Christine are just, cool as a cucumber,
Mhm.
just making conversation, making small talk. And Christine's like, "Oh, this is my boyfriend, David." She's thrilled. She's like, she's so happy. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, no, they can't ever show. any kind of weakness. They can never be wrong.
Mm-mm.
These two, they
And then
deserve each other.
yeah, they do. And so and this was at the very end, this really God, this got under my skin, was so Kanye's just trying to do her goddamn job, okay? And she's just trying to ask these questions. I mean, listen, Cody, I'm sorry that you don't like these questions that she's asking you. She's not the producer of the show. Someone gave them
Mhm.
to her. She's doing her job. And she's trying to have this conversation with him about can't you just meet Christine where she's at? And he just decides, like a sullen teenager, he decides to give her the silent treatment, which is a very, very classic behavior of narcissists and
Mm.
other fuckboy people. Like
Mhm.
this is a classic. I'm gonna ice you out and not tell you anything, and I'm gonna make you guess, and I'm gonna do that. But the way he was staring her down, listen, I've talked about this a bit. I've worked in drug and alcohol treatment centers. I have had to be in these moments where I've been stared down by some big guy, and you just
Mhm.
gotta stare right back and be like, "You're not getting, I'm sorry you're in this drug and alcohol treatment program. I'm sorry your life is falling apart. I didn't cause it." So,
Mhm.
but it's this the power, right? What I found was that there's this like people want to get into these power dynamics with you, of like, blaming you for everything, and you're like, I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
But anyway, I've had those moments of being stared down, and I felt for Sukanya. 'Cause it's just like, dear God, she's just like, I can keep staring at you too. Think she's not afraid of him.
No.
He's like, well,
And
there's nothing left to say. I'm like, dude, we've got two more episodes here. Yes, there is more to say.
God. Well,
Ugh.
what are we going to talk about next? I feel like, well,
Well,
there's
they've
the
got to
Coyote
talk about
Pass.
Garrison, right? Or
No,
what? How do you?
they said in the beginning, before the very first tell all, there was a black screen said that the family is not going to talk about Garrison
Oh,
and
okay. Which I
in the
understand.
tell
I could
alls. Yeah.
understand that one.
So I think next week from the previews, it looks like it's going to be talking about Coyote
Oh
Pass.
yes, yes, Coyote Pass.
And then after that, I'm not really sure. I'm not sure what the fourth episode is going to be.
Hmm.
I feel like, yeah, I'm kind of done.
Yeah.
Of
What
course,
else
I'll
is there to
watch them,
talk
but
about besides Coyote Pass?
I mean, I don't know if we're gonna. I don't know when this was filmed or if we're
It
gonna
was
catch.
October.
Okay,
Remember?
so
Did we all talk?
October.
Yeah.
So maybe so Janelle's been in North Carolina for a while. Maybe she'll talk about what she's doing there. I'm sure David and Christine will talk about their Airbnbs or
Yes, yes,
something.
their big business. Yes. Well, Christine's doing
Yes.
this all by herself,
Yeah, and
right? She's the one
Meri,
running it. Yeah.
yeah, Meri, I don't know if she'll talk about whatever she's doing. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. I don't know what Cody and Robyn are going to talk about, their new house that
Oh, God. Good luck.
I don't know.
Good luck. Oh, God. Yeah, I know. At the end of this, I was just like, I don't know how much more Cody I can take. This guy is exhausting. Can you
Yeah.
imagine him? I mean, no wonder these women needed him in small doses. This guy is exhausting. He's utterly exhausting.
Yeah. He's just high one minute, low the next, angry, happy, angry. I mean,
Mhm. And
I
I
don't know.
think that Robin loves this. Robin loves. She just some people they will claim to you they hate it, but they continue to look for and find people that are going to create drama. So,
But he's not like this with her. I mean, I know he was really bad, during the breakups, and she talked about that,
mhm.
how, he took a lot of stuff out on her and she was kind of like, I don't know if I can live with this. But as soon as he got over that, well, I don't think he's really over it. But when things got better, you see their flirty scenes now,
Mhm.
the scene where he's like licking,
Ugh.
the
Ugh.
licking, so much licking,
Ooh.
just like that. There was too
Ooh.
much licking. What's
No more
happening?
50-year-old men licking things, please.
I know.
Ugh.
What is happening? Anyway, yeah, so you see how how they can be together and how they were when they went up to Wyoming.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Mm. I think it's
I'm
all
ready
really
for a break.
I think it's all performative, and I think that he is difficult at home.
Hmm.
And I think that I don't know. I think she likes
Yeah.
that.
Okay. All right.
Anywho, so, yeah, oh god, 2 more
I'm
episodes, 2 more
exhausted.
episodes. We can do it, we can do it, we can do it. Cody just, try imagine being married to Cody for 30 years. Um,
Mm.
Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. As we mentioned, we are covering And Just Like That. We still have our Thursdays, documentaries that we're
Documentaries.
doing. This week we're doing the Sherry Papini documentary. So please go check those things out. If you haven't already, please subscribe and give us a 5-star rating and review. We are on YouTube. Hello, everybody.
Mhm. Hello.
Very exciting. I know I move around a lot, but sorry, I'm trying. But we're on YouTube now, so go check us out on YouTube. The episodes from now on will be full. You can see us talking right here, full video. What else? So if you want more of us, please go check out our Patreon. You get ad free. We do a weekly bonus, and then for our higher tier, we have some extras. Ask us anything in true crime, monthly true crime. Um, I think that's it. We're on all the social medias, Psych
Mhm.
Legal Pop. So please, spread the word, tell a friend, all that good stuff. And
Yeah, we have a whole if you like Sister Wives, if you're into Sister
mhm,
Wives, we have a whole back catalog of
yes,
um we started from the very beginning, um season 1, episode 1, and we've kind of stopped and started as these other episodes because we started covering it, what was it, season 16 or 17?
17. We started because it was 17 that we started covering, and then we went back and did a rewind, and we got up to 9, episode
9.
9,
So there's a
season
gap.
9 or 10.
There's a gap between 9 and 16 because we have to
I
go
haven't
back
gotten there yet.
because when the regular season is on, we don't do the rewinds. Anyway, there's plenty
Yes,
plenty of shows there if you want to go back and watch listen to those.
yes, yes. Well, I don't know what else to say except for via con Dios.
By Candidos. Didn't even pronounce it right.
In the words of Cody Brown and how he ends his
Yes.
marriage, via con Dios, bitch. Janelle, you Teflon queen.
Yeah. Fuck
Why
you.
don't you love me? Why don't you love me? But I don't
Fuck
love her.
you
I never
and
loved her. Why doesn't she
yeah.
love me? Right?
Slam the door.
Yes, but
Yes.
yes,
Goodbye.
via con Dios, everybody. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.